This is a tutorial on how to replace a portion of a frame with motion tracking. We're going to use Coremelt Track X inside Final Cut Pro. We're also going to use Photoshop. I'm halfway doing this for myself because I'm not a visual effects person, and Coremelt's a decent piece of software, but let's just say the instructions leave something to be desired, and it took me a while to figure out how to get what I want out of it. So let's say this is the way I want to cut these two shots together.
So what's your story?
It's not bad, aside from needing major color work to match. It also needs work because the action doesn't match. If you look in the lower right of the frame, he's drinking out of a totally different glass.
What's your story?
And here it really doesn't look like he was just drinking out of the glass. It's just not good enough. Okay, and I've already explored using an alternate take, cutting it a different way, scaling it on her and cropping him out. You know, let's say I've explored all those things, and this is what I want. I want to save these two takes and this cut. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to paste over this part of the frame. So I'm going to paste him out with a clean, basically right side of the frame. All right, so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and take these two shots into a new timeline, which is always a good thing to do when you have some extra work. And I'm going to find a clean portion of, actually I'll look at this in the source. I'm going to find a clean portion of the frame to use. Hopefully with, you know, the maximum amount here. This probably has the maximum amount, but there's something I got to watch out for. Normally you would want to use video, okay? You would want to paste over with video. But I happen to know in this case that there is no locked off shot where this is not moving. And you don't want to cover up something that's moving that you have to track with something that is also moving. That's just not going to work. So I'm actually going to make a still, okay? But normally you would want to use video, okay? So to do that, I'm going to get this car that should obviously be moving out of the frame. I'll put it back here behind the post. I don't think anybody will know. Okay, so this is the frame I'm going to use. I'm basically just going to cut that frame into my timeline, park the playhead over it, select it, go to Share, Save Current Frame. Hopefully you have that choice. If you don't, it might be functionality I added. You can add it too, I'm sure. Google that. All right. Go ahead and select TIFF file because it's lossless. Well, I'm just going to put it on the desktop. Oops, frame clean. Okay. Now, I'm going to go and I'm going to find the worst frame where I have the most that I have to cover up. Okay, I'm looking at his knuckle actually right now. Okay. That looks about as bad as it's going to get. Okay, it's almost to the end. His knuckle's almost to the end of that post. Click here, park the playhead, file, share, save current frame, TIFF again, and we'll call this frame worst. Great. Now let's go into Photoshop. I'm going to open those two frames. And I'm going to, let's see, I think I'll paste this one, the bad one, on top of the clean one. I'm going to reduce the opacity, and I'm going to line up those posts. I'm moving the bad frame. Great. Once I got them lined up, I'm going to go over and select my polygonal lasso tool. And I'm going to make a juncture right down the middle of this post, but then I'm going to jig to the left to get his knuckle in, cover that. Great. Now I'm going to get rid of the bad frame. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to feather this selection a little bit. 12's good. Or feather 12. Shift Command I to invert the selection and hit delete. I now have a transparent part, an alpha channel. Okay, I'm going to save this frame, and I'm going to save it as a PNG to preserve that transparency. And we will call it frame transparent PNG. Fine. Okay, quit out of Photoshop. Back in Final Cut Pro, we're going to bring in that frame. Okay, now it's in here. Great. So now we're ready to use Coremelt. First thing is I'm actually going to put some handles. I'm going to go to the last frame on this, and I'll put a marker there, but I'm going to give it some handles. I'm going to actually give it 2 seconds of a handle at the tail and 2 seconds at the head. Why am I doing that? Because you might want to use more of this shot, and you'll have, you know, you're not going to motion track everything, and you'll have to blend it with the original, and you need some dissolve space to do that. Okay, so just trust me if you didn't follow that. Add 2 seconds of handles at the head and at the tail. All right, so I'm going to go and get the Track X, and I'm going to use the simple tracker. So we're going to put that in, yeah, and we're going to size it to fit. Now, you need to have the frame to which you want to pin the tracking. You need to have it in the primary storyline. And then you need to put the simple tracker on top of it as a connected clip, and as I did, cut it to fit. Okay? Next, go to the first frame of that clip. Now, it's telling us, choose a shape to create a track shape. This is part of what I'm talking about. That means nothing to me. But here's what you need to do. Choose the polygonal shape, okay? And I'm actually going to zoom out a little bit so I have a little matte space here. What you're setting now has nothing to do with the area that you're going to paste over or the mask that you're going to make. Basically, you are saying, right now, you're selecting what you want to pin the motion tracking to. Okay? In other words, the mask I'm about to make in the next step, move that the same way that what I'm about to select here moves. And I'm going to select this post, because as this post moves, so do I want my mask to move. Okay, so, and I know his knuckle comes in. I don't want that to screw up the track, so I'm going to try to stay away. I'll stay up a little higher. And in case his head moves, I don't think it does, over the post, I'll kind of, I kind of won't go all the way. Ooh, that was supposed to make a rectangle. Hello. Okay, fine. Great. Now, the next thing is I need to drop an image here that I want to, that frame that I made. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to click here, okay, to activate this up in the inspector. Then I'm going to take my transparent frame, and I'm going to pull it, throw it in that well, and I'm going to select not fit, not fill. I'm going to select none, even though I'm not sure that it listens, to be honest. And it didn't really take, so I'm going to do it again. Better. None. Now when I click back here, there it is. You can see the frame, but it did squeeze it. It made it a weird size. So now I have to size and position this. Don't get into dragging these handles to do it. I find that's just really just not a good way to go. What I'm going to do is, and by the way, I'm only going to do position. I don't want it to scale or rotate. You might. I don't. Relative to track, fine with me. First thing I'm going to adjust is the scale. It needs to be much bigger. And I was kind of going off the screen, so I'm going to also adjust the X. Okay, move it over. Then I'm going to scale it more. Oh, that's probably good enough. And then the X, Offset left to right. Oops. All right, let's see. That's pretty good, actually. And I guess I don't need to adjust the Y scale, even though I accidentally did so. So that looks pretty good. Now, since I'm on the first frame, I'm just going to track forward. And it's going to collect all of its tracking points. And you're basically crossing your fingers at this point, because you can get an idea whether you're going to have a disaster or whether it's going to work. It's looking good so far. Oh, see it's coming up here? You see how it's revealing the frame underneath? That tells me my scale, either my scale it needs to be bigger, or maybe I can slide the Y, slide it down vertically. Okay, I'm going to try, see, I just go to a spot where it's really bad, and I'm just going to slide that Y down, and I'm going to hope that it doesn't happen up here. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to render everything out. Go to the first frame and let's play it. Oh, and I'll also zoom to fit here.
So what's your story?
Looks good. Looks good. So what I would do now is simply select this, make sure it's all rendered, and just go ahead and share it out as a master file. I want to go, why not, video and audio. Choose your codec. And then you can re-import it, and you can cut it right back to your marker that you set. You can put it right up here, size it to fit, and you're good to go.